Hello, I'm your host, Count Halloween. Richie had to go to an apple orchard to get apples and donuts and stuff. I've got my own donut here. Today we're going to be reading a creepypasta about his favorite game series, Kingdom Hearts, entitled Kingdom Hearts Zero. So I say let's just... Sorry, I got a little fuzzy with my brain just now. Let's jump right into it. The following... I don't know what that was. Anyways... Ignore the noises. Those are just the creatures. Anyways... Yes, let me get into the right voice. The following is based on a real event that happened to me a few days ago. No one should have to play what I did. But I should tell my story to anyone who wants to know about Kingdom Hearts. I'd gone to a local game store that sold new and second-hand PlayStation 2 games, which was good. Seeing as I wanted to stock up on some old classics I sold years ago. I found many games, including both the Kingdom Hearts games for the console. I bought both games and got back home. I checked on the two discs, considering they were used. Both games were fine, but then I noticed something with the Kingdom Hearts 2. Drawn on it was an oval, which I guess represented the number 0 under the title. And also, there was no instruction booklet, because you really need an instruction booklet to play a game that you had years ago. Anyways, I just considered that the shop owner marked the disc to show it was pre-owned, as I'd seen this before. I started up the game and everything looked normal, and I played the game like normal until I reached the first time I could save. So I pressed the save game. I noticed that slot 4 had a file in it. The game had been played for 2 hours. The game had been played for 2 hours, yet already was at the world that never was, with no money, and level 99. That is a bit strange, considering that's the last world in the game, as Richie can tell you. And level 99 takes a while to get to. It was strange considering I do not have a Kingdom Hearts 2 game saved on my memory card. That would be a bit weird too. I tried to save over it, but the game wouldn't let me, so I just saved in slot 1. At first, I was confused, but then I considered that it was just a glitch in the disc. I didn't take any notice to it, since the game still ran normally with no hiccups. I continued on with my game, but every time I saw that file on the load menu, I could always see that strange save staring back at me, like it wanted me to play it. My curiosity was growing every time I saw it. Eventually, a few days ago, I finished Kingdom Hearts 2, and usually that'd be that. I'd put the game down for a while before thinking about going back to play it, as we all do with classic games. You know, Resident Evil, what's another one I can think of right now? Why am I drawing a blank on classic horror games? Evil Dead, Left 4 Dead, Dead Island, lots of zombie games out there. Finally, I gave in. Wait, I might have jumped ahead a little. However, I was still interested in that file. It never appeared on my memory card. It was just there. Finally, I gave in and decided to finally see if it was just a glitch. However, it turned out to be a saved game. At this point, I was completely baffled. Isn't the same supposed to be saved on the memory stick? I do believe this English is a tad bit broken, but that's okay. I should I should have just turned off the PS2 and gone back to the store to check, but I felt that as I was here, I'd press on anyways. I wish I didn't. I appear at the start of the world that never was. Everything was normal. I had Goofy and Donald in my party, and of course I pressed on, battling foes I encountered. Seemed pretty normal as I played through until I reached Roxas. As soon as the cutscene showed Roxas, the game started glitching up. The cutscene would shake and black out for a millisecond. Then came the fight. Everything was normal except the music, which played backwards, which again I thought was another glitch. Thinking this is a minor glitch, I fought Roxas as usual, beating him and getting the cutscene as normal. However, when Roxas was supposed to say, "You make a good other," there was no voiceover, and the test. Do you believe that was supposed to say text? The text said, "We all fall into darkness someday." Then the screen faded to black. When the menu came, wait, no, I jumped ahead a little on accident. I stared at the black screen for it seemed for something. Let me restart. I stared at the blank screen, waiting for something to happen for minutes or two until something text appeared telling me to restart the console. I hesitated for a while, unsure of what was going on. I could have just stopped and forgot about playing, but I wanted to continue onwards, so I did what the game told me. When the menu came back to the screen, the background was black. Sora was nowhere to be seen. There was only one option: play. Spooky. Also, Richie would be super PO'd. He'd want his money back. That's a great game. If someone glitched his game, anyways. Where was I? There I was. Now this was there. I was thinking. I do believe that this is where I was thinking. Now this is where I was thinking to myself that this was a hacked disc. What normal people would do would be to take the game back to the store and ask for a refund or replacement. However, for some reason, I wanted to see the ending. I felt I was going to get an answer when I reached the end. I pressed play, and the screen cut to black. When it came back, I was back at the start of the world that never was. The music still played backwards, and Down and Goofy weren't in my party. When I checked, I only had one item in my inventory: the Keyblade. I continued onward, playing through the level. No encounters from anything, no Heartless, nobodies, or even Roxas. As I reached the castle, it says the bride was already there. There's no bride in this game. The bridge. The bridge was already formed leading to the castle, so I headed towards the castle, but I arrived somewhere completely different. I entered into a hallway. I could only see thin pavement, Sora, and a path going on and on with no end in sight, disappearing into the darkness. There's no music, no HP or MP bars, and no commands. Just pitch blackness with only one path and Sora on the screen. I couldn't just turn back either, as I just end up running on the spot. I had to progress forward. Should have been some kind of punctuation there. Anyways, I continued onward and onward just to see if this would end. I know what felt like an eternity. Sora running forward. I began to notice I was coming towards something. Couldn't tell what it was at first, but the closer it came to the screen, the more I could see it. Or should I say them? I reached them. It was down and goofy, just floating in the air, in what looked like a knocked out state. But there weren't any stars spinning above them. It was just them floating. And a text bubble on the bottom of the screen, it read, "Too late." I just left Sora standing there, sort of looking at the two Disney characters, floating in midair. I thought to myself, I guess by what it meant was I was too late to heal them before they were knocked out. Then why wasn't there any stars above them? Before I could finish my thought, Sora then suddenly just flung back in slow motion, like when he does in a HB before the screen cut to black. Like he does in HP before the screen cut to black. It means when he loses all his HP. I looked at the blank screen, shocked over what had just happened. What I had just happened. Not all creepypastas are created equal, folks. Some of them are not good creepypastas. I nearly put the controller down for a moment and then I'd be killed. Or at least knocked out. The screen stayed black for a few seconds until I was sent to the continue screen where heart floats over Sora with the option continue only showing. Not like load game or anything, I'm assuming. I knew this game was hacked, but I didn't want to stop. I wanted to know if there was an end to this, so I pressed continue. I was transported to where the player first gets control of Roxas, only this time it was Sora. Standing in front of me was another Sora, only he looked like a Heartless with red demon-like eyes. Again, not the game. Of course, most of this isn't in the game. There was no music, only a speech bubble that appeared. You cannot escape the facts that one day everyone will die. No matter how much you try to hide, you will too. There is no reward after you've served your time. We will all fall into the darkness. There's no just into darkness. I don't know. This creepypasta's already got some issues. I don't know if I'm scared at this point. Then we went straight into battle. The music sounded it sounded like a collection of the soundtrack all played at once, making a demented song. Demon Sora had a lot of HP, and his attacks were devastating. Luckily, they were easy to dodge, and I had the Cure spell. The best Cure spell you can have. While battling him, the image would cut away to a blank screen showing bits of text shown before the battle, taunting me as I played. I was shaken up by what was going on, but I still wanted to give this to give me an ending. I noticed the more HP I took away from the opponent, parts of his body flew off. Bit by bit, I was cutting him away, like my keyblade was a sword. It was taking forever for me to finish off all the HP. The screen still glitching out with the text still taunting me. Now I was determined to end this. At last, I drained his entire HP. The screen slowed down, and I waited for the cut scene, but then the screen went to black for a second, and returned to how they were before the battle. Only now the Heartless Sora was just ahead. Nothing happened. I couldn't move. There was no music. There was no text. I was also in Sora's point of view, and I couldn't change back to the third person. For 5 whole minutes, nothing happened. I was just staring at the floating heartless head. Then, just as I was about to turn the game off, the heartless head charged to the screen, and the last thing I saw was those eyes until the screen cut to black. I felt my whole body freeze up in terror as I stared at the black screen on my TV. Then a selection appeared, and this is what I wanted all along. I pressed it, wanting to know what happened. I wish I didn't. The heartless Sora faded into view, staring at me. I was given control of him, but I had nowhere to go. I was just in a completely dark room. I couldn't bring up the menu. The only thing I was able to see was Sora. There was no music. There was only the sound of crying, which I guess was supposed to be Sora. For 10 minutes, I wandered around trying to find a way out or anything, but nothing happened. Only the sound of Sora crying. Then Sora faded away, and a text appeared on the screen. You cannot escape the fact that one day everyone will die. No matter how much you try to hide, you will too. There's no reward after you've served your time. You will all fall into darkness. Then I was taken back to the menu. Everything was normal again. I went to load to find all the slots were cleared, including mine. It was like I just bought the game. I stared at the screen. I'd played this file for 2 hours. I didn't know what to think, but I knew I felt saddened by what had happened. It was like the game was not talking to Sora, but to me. It was taunting me, only to break me, and I felt empty. I went to the shop the next to ask about it. Next day. Let's finish this with proper grammar. There's one more paragraph after this tiny paragraph. The guy behind the counter said that he didn't remember who brought the game in. He just sold them. I hadn't gone off Kingdom Hearts. I bought another copy of Kingdom Hearts 2 this time, not cursed, just to be safe. Oh yes, you always have to check for your cursed games. And I love the franchise, but I'll never forget those 2 hours. Those 2 hours of hell. And so what'd you think of the story? Were you terrified? Sorry. A little funny. Were you terrified? I thought I saw something appear on my TV screen for a sec there. I do hope you were terrified. I'm certainly spooked now. I suppose there's nothing else to do except excuse me for a moment while I grab something over here to help with my headache.